Let's continue. So we are still working our way through the CSS grid, part of the FreeCodeCamp curriculum. And as a reminder, this is what we are building. Okay. And we've looked at the first 50 steps of 80. So let's continue in this video with steps 51 all the way to 60. Once again, as a reminder, I will highly encourage you to check out this article. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. It's on CSS-Tricks website and it goes more in depth into CSS grid. Okay, let's continue. Now, the next thing we want to do is the default setting for CSS grid will create additional rows as needed, unlike Flexbox. So, want to give the social icon selector a grid template columns property, which we are going to set to repeat 1FR. Okay, so we are going to say grid template columns and we'll say repeat 1FR. Okay. Now the next thing we are going to look at is step 52. So if you wanted to add more social icons, at the moment we have 5 of them. So let's say if you wanted to add more and still keep them on the same line, you will need to update the grid template columns to create additional columns. So as you can see now, we have repeat 1FR. So if you wanted to add, let's say 1 more, we would have to change this to say 6. Okay. Yeah, because for example, if it's 4 and it's 5, you see this YouTube icon moves to the next line. So let me change it back to 5. So if you wanted to add 1 more to make it 6, the 6 will move to the next line. But if you wanted to keep it on the same line, then what you can do is, instead of giving it a hard code value, you can use the grid auto flow property. So what this property does is that it takes either row or column as the first value with an optional second value of dense. Okay. And grid auto flow also uses an auto placement algorithm to adjust the grid layout. Setting it to column will tell the algorithm to create new columns for content as needed. So in that case, when you add more, it will adjust so that it will all still fit on the same line instead of moving to the next line. Okay. So for your social icon selector, let's set the grid auto flow property to column. So we'll say grid auto flow, let's say column, like so. Okay. Now the auto placement algorithm will kick in when you add a new icon element. However, the algorithm defaults the new column width to be auto, which will not match your current columns. So you can override this with the grid auto columns property. So let's give the social icon selector a grid auto columns. Let's say grid auto columns. And let's set the property to 1FR. Much like Flexbox, with CSS grid, you can align the content of grid items with align items, justify items, and align items will align child elements along the column axis or the vertical axis, and then justify items will align the child elements along the row axis or the horizontal axis. Okay. So give the social icon selector an align items property set to center. So let's say align items center. All right. Next up, give the text selector a font size. So let's give it a font size property. The value is going to be 1.8 rem. We're also going to give it a letter spacing property with a value set to 0.6 pixels. Now, still on the text element, it is not a CSS grid, but you can create columns within an element without using grid by using the column width property. So let's say column width and let's set it to 25 rem. All right, now as you can see, we have columns for our block of text. Okay, so magazines often use justified text in their printed content to structure their layout and control the flow of their content. While this works in printed form, justified text on website can be an accessibility concern. For example, presenting challenges for folks with dyslexia. Okay, so to make your project look like a printed magazine, we want to give the text selector a text align property set to justify. So let's say text align property. Let's say justify. Okay. The first letter pseudo selector allows you to target the first letter in the text content of an element. So let's create a first paragraph, first letter selector. So we'll say first paragraph. Remember, we have an element in our HTML called first paragraph. Then we'll attach the pseudo selector first letter like so. So this will select the first letter of our first paragraph. Okay. Now let's say font size. Let's give it a value of 6 rem. Okay, as you can see, there you have it. We have our first letter selected. Let's also give it a color and let's set it to orange. Okay. Now our first letter for the first paragraph is clearly and boldly standing out. So the other text has been shifted out of place, as you can see. Move it into position by giving the first paragraph first selector a float property set to left and a margin right property set to 1 rem. So let's give it a float. Let's set it to left. Okay. And then let's also set the margin right property to 1 rem. All right. Now it is aligned and we have some little space between the first letter and the rest of the text. Okay, so finally for this video, we want to create an HR selector and give it a margin property of 1.5 rem. So I'll say HR margin 1.5 rem. Okay, now our HR properties have some margin around them. Okay, so here's where we'll end this video, and we'll continue in the next video where we are going to look specifically at step 61 all the way to 70. So it's 80 steps in all, and we are gradually getting to the end. So let's keep going. See you in the next one.